Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, YouTube streaming, and also via Skype. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming from wherever you are. Today, the talk is slightly different. It is the Samadhi day of Sheikh Dayal Chachaji Raziyallah Ta'ala. Sheikh Dayal is the younger brother of Lalaji Ramchandra Raziyallah Ta'ala. He was born on 7th of October 1875 as the younger brother of Lalaji. From the very childhood, Lalaji was his role model. He used to follow him in everything. As usual, they both belonged to a family that has the reputation. However, his father, Chaudhry Harbaksh Rai, was in the bad company, eating, drinking. These were his ways and means. He was the superintendent of excise. But as time went on, everything was lost. At a time when, after the birth of Lalaji and Chachaji, the celebration was grand. In the same city, the two had to walk bare feet in the area in Farrukhabad called Nitganj. It happened that Lalaji came in communion with Naqshbandi Sheikh of the time, Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan Raziyallah Ta'ala Unu. Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan was teaching in a small private school called the School of Mufti. So in the same compound, in one of the room, Lalaji was staying, Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan was staying, and Lalaji also rented a room in order to do his studies, because at home, because of the large family, it was not possible. Every day, Lalaji used to come to the room and he has to pass in front of the room where Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan was staying. As he used to pass in front of the room, he will bow down to pay his obeisance, regards to the Sheikh. And it so happened that Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan also used to wait at that particular time. There was a kind of a synchronicity. He will wait for Lalaji to pass. And when he was passing in front of his room and bowed to the Sheikh, the tawajjuh, the energy field used to flow. Tawajjo is the energy field, how the master connects you to the cosmic energy field. There is cosmic energy field. In the modern terminology, you can understand it through the internet facility. There is something that is known as fiber optics or something through which the data is communicated, transferred. And once you are connected to this, you can connect to the mails or other messages, social media, wherever you are. Once you have the wireless frequency, you have the equipment through which the wireless frequency works. So in the field of tawajjo is constantly flowing. Your heart should be ready to receive. This is the instrument, like your computer, which is ready to receive, and the Wi-Fi that connects you to the cosmic energy field is the Sheikh. So Sheikh Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan was the wireless frequency that was connecting the equipment, the heart center of Lalaji, to that cosmic energy. This is known as Nisbat. Through your wireless frequency, your laptop, your smartphone is connected to the Nisbat. It is easy to understand that one day it was raining cats and dogs. The weather was cold. It was a cold winter night, winter day. Rain was falling incessantly, cats and dogs. Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan knew that Lalaji will come. In thunder and lightning, Lalaji came to go to his room. In front of the room of Sheikh Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan, as Lalaji passed, Sheikh said, "So much thunder and lightning, and you're coming?" The thunder and lightning is at its peak when there is heavy clouds, kind of a stormy situation. The light becomes very dim. There is a white cloud that the visibility becomes very low. And in that, Lalaji did not have the vehicle. His feet was his only vehicle to transport him from one place to another. He said, "So much thunder and lightning, and still you are here? Bete, now this is the word to express the intimacy. My beloved son." Beta means the son. My beloved son. This is beyond the duality of religion, caste, creed, everything. This is the very nature of intimacy of love. When you address someone with that, "My beloved son," go inside, change your clothes. In the meantime, I am preparing the fireplace, Sigri. In Kashmir, everyone carries a small kind of fireplace within his gown to keep himself warm. So is a little bigger fireplace. So he prepared that, and Lalaji's, he let him sit down on the same bed where Mauli Sahib was sitting. The session of Tawajjuh began. The time became still. There was just kind of ocean of bliss in which Lalaji was drowning and drowning deeper. This was the first physical communion between the master and the disciple. And when the rain, thunder and storm ceased, this particular thunder and storm is symbolic. In the life of everyone, before one reaches the company of the master, there is this kind of thunder, lightning, a storm comes in. That's where he is directed towards a different path or journey. So as the weather eased up somewhat, Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan told Lalaji to go home now. The distance was between that place and residence was 3 miles. Lalaji has to walk on his feet to reach his residence. When he reached home, he did not eat anything. He, in the state of mahabbiyat, deep absorption in love. When you have really experienced the bliss, the love, you are in a way oblivious of yourself. And in the morning he dreamt around 4 o'clock that a throne descended from an unknown realm. On that there was a saint, a mystic, a sheikh was sitting with a long beard. Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan presented Lalaji to him. Seeing him, the grandsire of Sheikh said, your life is directed towards Haqq from the very beginning. Inshallah, तुम्हारी ज़ात से एक आलम मुनव्वर होगा. Thy light will be the beacon light in times to come, beyond time. So when next day he mentioned it to Sheikh, he raised his hands out of gratitude for the ultimate reality and said, may it be true. It happened, continued. Then one day his younger brother, who was 2.5 years younger than him, Lalaji was born on 2nd of February 1873. Chachaji was born 7th of October 1875, 2.5 years younger. But from the very beginning, Lalaji was his role model. He was imitating him in everything. He complained when he came to know that my elder brother, my model, is going in the company of a sheikh. So he cried and complained to his sister-in-law, Lalaji's wife, that Bhaiya has betrayed me. He had gone all by himself to the master and kept me deprived of the company. When Lalaji returned, his wife told that Nanne is very upset. Lalaji used to call him Nanne. Nanne means tiny. Is very upset and saddened. He feels that you have betrayed him. So after this, next day Lalaji mentioned of the situation with his younger brother to Sheikh Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan, and he immediately consented him to come. Lalaji was a very, in a way, in English terminology, we can say, serious kind of a person. The disciplined in a way. Chachaji was of an opposite nature, narrating these short stories, jokes. That was his way of life. The anecdotes, the parables, the stories. He was very much interested in music, tabla. Lalaji used to play harmonium, the bellow instrument, and Chachaji used to play tabla, the percussion instrument. While Lalaji used to sing the bhajans, Chachaji never sang, but he played tabla. He had achieved excellence in that art. So when Lalaji is there in the communion, the communion or the meditation, the satsang is of a different nature, disciplined. Everybody is sitting in a discipline, following certain thing. The moment Chachaji came, Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan will say, Nanne, now tell me jokes. Tell me something, a story. So his way, relationship with Sheikh was that of playfulness, not of a seriousness in any way. This continued. Lalaji on the 29th year of his life was first initiated and then was bestowed the masterhood, the khalifahood, the chief disciple. I am coming to Chachaji's part. His life was full of lot of deficiencies. The life was hard. He was put by Lalaji in the company of one person called Munshi Chimmanlal, who was very strict disciplinarian. Chachaji, for his livelihood, used to be the application writer outside the court when the ordinary villagers and so will come to the court. They need someone to write their affidavits, applications, and so he, in the intense heat and all kind of weather, he used to sit outside the courtroom under a tree and write the applications for the people. This person, Munshi Chimmanlal, will tell those people that that person, Raghubar Dayal, is not the right person. You should not let him write your applications. And when every day Lalaji has instructed his younger brother Chachaji to go in the company of Munshi Chimmanlal, who was the fellow disciple of Lalaji. So that kind of hardship he went through. And when for some reason or the other, on one hand there was no income coming in, he was being deprived of the income and the hardships at home for the sustenance. Thereafter, if he is not able to reach any time, he used to rebuke him, and that continued. So there was a one particular incident which is very significant. Chachaji was doing his morning normal prayer or meditation, and while he was doing his prayer at that selected spot, Lalaji came in there. By that time, Chachaji had finished his prayer. Seeing Lalaji in front of him, out of gratitude, out of respect, he stood up. There is a deep desire in me that I should always look at you. Only your countenance should be in front of my eyes. लालसा है दिल में प्यारे तुझे देखा करूं. There is no other desire except to be in your communion 24 hours. It does not matter whether you look at me or not, but I should always look at you in your thoughts, in your communion. Chachaji had finished his prayers. Seeing Lalaji, he stood up. At this, Lalaji inquired, "What do you want? What do you want?" Tabile Karishma means one who performs the miracles. Tabile Karishma. Karishma means miracle. Do you have the desire to create the miracles? Or Tabile Khuda. Tabile means desire for that which is God. Listening to this, Chachaji remained silent. Lalaji repeated the questions second time. At this, Chachaji said, "I have not been able to understand this mystery. Why? I have not been able to understand this. I do not know what is beneficial for me. So please do that which is beneficial for me." At this, Lalaji looked at him little angrily and insisted that you have to tell me whether you want Tabile Karishma or Tabile Khuda. Tabile means the desire for performing the miracles or for God. Deep within he thought that I am not able to understand, what should I do? As soon as the thought flowed, the unanswered thought appeared on the inner horizon of Chachaji. Lalaji smiled and remained silent. Same time, Chachaji remembered an incident that once Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan asked him the same question. At this, I had told him that I do not want anything, simply Tabile Didar. Didar means vision, that I am only anxious of your countenance, your face, that I should always be looking at you. All thoughts, your image should always be in front of my eyes. So it happens when you are in deep love with someone, that remembrance remains constantly in you. If you are in love with your spouse in the beginning, all the time you are prowling around your bedroom activities, you are thinking of the beloved, and so on and so forth. So Chachaji said, I simply want tabile didar, the intense desire to be constantly looking at you. There should be no countenance in front of me, no thought on the inner horizon should float, but that of yours. Beyond this, there is no desire. At this, Lalaji said, by grace of God, this will happen. By grace of God, this will happen. And then said, every moment you maintain this thought. Shah Bahauddin Naqshband called this tasawwur Sheikh. Tasawwur means remembrance. Remembrance of the Sheikh. Tasawwur Sheikh, he emphasized on this as a meditation. Constantly thinking, meditating on the words and the messages of the Master. Look, what is the best image that appeals to you is that of the Master. So Chachaji, Lalaji said, allow this thought to remain constantly like an unwavering thought. By God's grace, may your wish be fulfilled. As far as possible, try to avoid the mistakes. Sometimes we forget. We have to remember this. That is a state of unconsciousness. That is a state of deep sleep or slumber. You're supposed to do this, but at times, because the other things, the outer world becomes more attractive to you, you forget that you have to do the tasawwur Sheikh or remembrance of the Master, his words. Throughout the life, whether the state of light or other states come to you or not, let there be no disappointment in life. Whatsoever be the situation, that of happiness, that of prosperity, or shortcomings. So his life was that of abhav. Abhav means absence. Absence of basic necessities of life. His life was very hard. There was the absence of the basic necessities of life. Yet still his influence never diminished in any way. His constant remembrance of the Master and the tariqat never diminished in any way. The reason is his ways and means were very simple. Very simple. He never gave the intricate scriptural injunctions. He will simply tell the stories of the Masters, Kabir, Nanak, Buddha, and other Masters, and the way of jokes. It happened, I heard once, Chachaji was having a communion with a particular person, as happens in the state of Bharat. So he was discussing the matter, his problems. Same time, a person came and sat down there. This used to happen when we see the Master, my uncle, Sufi Omkarnath, is talking to someone. There were certain people, when they finished their work, one of them was a medical practitioner. So when his clinic is finished and he finished the dinner and so, then around 8 he will come home. So that time I was the gatekeeper. I had to open the gate and wait until they are gone to close back the gate. So when he is sitting, Tawajjo is going on, the meditation session. So I'll sit down there. So the same thing happened when this particular session was going on with this person. Someone else came and sat down there. After the session was over, Chachaji said he had a very particular way of saying a word that is used, just as in English language we say, "Yeah, boy, what is happening? How are you?" Man, in American accent we use, not culture, we use the word man. In Trinidad, we use the word boy. Every culture has its own way. So, it was the time of the Muslim influence that was in offing. So he said, "Mea," that is Mia. Mea, you got something very precious today. You got something very precious today. He said, "Yes, Chacha." Well, Mia, take care of it. You got something very precious. Like you got a precious gem. So you have to preserve it, that it is not lost. The teaching that you got, the understanding that has come to you at this moment, this is a precious gem. Preserve it, take care of it. So a little while after, this man said, "Chacha." He said, "Ha, Mia." This is how the conversation used to go on. "Tao, what happened?" So the Chacha, "Yes, Mia." "Ha, Mia, bolo." "You know, Chacha, I got today something very precious." He said, "Yeah, ha, Mia, you got it." Then the person said, "Chacha, take care of it." The disciple finds himself incapable, it is inkaradiyat, feels incapable of taking care of something precious. So he says the master has to take responsibility of it, take care of it. To which Shah Bahauddin Naqshband, he is passing on the road. He will meet someone and initiate him. Earlier on it used to be very difficult. Sometimes the person has to remain within the commune of the master for years before he could get an initiation, bayat. Maulana Fazl Ahmad, Maulana Shah Bahauddin Naqshband used to meet the people on the street and used to initiate them. This is called the first initiation, the basic. Osho has introduced this so that the more and more people can be directed towards this spirituality. He said, as the time goes on and I am seeing the lack of the lack of capabilities and capacities in the disciples, unless the master takes care of, it is not possible for the disciples to continue along the path. So he said the disciple has to do 80% of the work and the master has to do 20%. The thing is, what we follow now, that there are certain people who religiously attend these sessions. So it is my responsibility to make sure that they are, and if for any reason they are not able to reach on a particular day, I inquire, what happened? I did not see you for this session. So this was the role of the master. And because the master is one track, there is no deviation, there is no diversion along his path. His path is very straight and clear. But that of disciple, the seeker, there are so many distractions of this and that and so that at times you do not find time to come to the session. So times, oh, I had to do this thing. I have never said this thing that today I will not be able to attend this session or the meditation session will not continue. Yes, I have the other works to do at times also. But these morning sessions have never failed ever since they began. Unless there was the breakdown of the Wi-Fi, or I had to go by visit the doctor or something there, or I was out of country, out of town, then. But this is, so the master has to be the magnetic force to attract the disciple for these sessions. So there are two types of states. One is totally inner, the other is outward. Under all circumstances, when situations happen, there are always two possibilities: to accept it or not, to be happy or not. Under all circumstances, one should always be happy. And for the seekers along the path, one should not be upset. Happily do your work according the will of the masters. Nanak says in one of the pauris, Adi Sach, Jugadi Sach, that is true in the beginning, that is true in the end. Nanak, Habi Sach, yes, it is true now also. It was true yesterday. It will be true tomorrow. It is true now. Adi Sach, Jugadi Sach, Habi Sach. Nanak, Hosi Bhi Sach. It is bound to be true. Chupai chup na hovai. By remaining silent, it cannot be expressed. By speaking, it cannot be expressed. Chupai chup na hovai je lai raha livtar. Bhukiya bhuk na utri je banna puriya bhar. Sahasyaan palak hoi ta ik na chale naal. When will there be the dawn of awakening? Kib sachiara hoye. When will there be dawn of awakening? Kib kule tutte pal. When there will be the ego, the vanity, the identities will vanish. Kib sachiara hoye, kib kule tutte pal. Hukum rajai chalna, Nanak likhya naal. Flow with the divine will. There is a cosmic law, Nanak calls it as hukum. Hukum rajai chalna, to live by the divine will. Whatsoever is happening, I know not why it is happening. May, when autumn comes, the leaves from the tree turn gold and fall, and they become the manure. Hukum rajai chalna, Nanak likhya naal. This is the only way. The master follows the saintly path. They live with the divine will. Let thy will prevail, Jesus said. When he was on the cross, and he was the human element in Jesus complained, Father, why have you forsaken me? This is a complaint. Human mind always complains. Why have you forsaken me? The next moment, a thought comes, let thy will prevail. That very moment, Jesus, who was the son of man, Mary and Joseph, becomes the son of God. Jesus is resurrected. He became the Christ. So that is very important to flow with the divine will. Live your life according to the will of the Masters. He is very kind and benevolent. By his fazl karam. Fazl means grace and blessings. This is a very beautiful word, fazl karam. It means by the grace and blessings of the Master. He will keep you, He will lift you in His arms. If you do not have a trust in it, then you have to let the total trust be in that. And saying this, Lalaji went away from there. Dissolve your desires, your lust, everything in the will of the Masters. Let thy will prevail. And in that very moment, whatsoever has to happen, happens. And transcendence begins. Let there be a constant remembrance of that which is. This is the Tasawwur-e-Sheikh. The Samadhi day of Lalaji is 7th of June 1947. So in communion of that, in celebration of that, tomorrow's session will also be dedicated to unravel a few pages from the life of Raghuvar Dayal, Sheikh Chachaji. Until then, take care and do have a pleasant day.